Hello everyone and welcome to English Factory. Today we are going to do class 12 Vistas Journey to the End of the Earth by Tishani Joshi. This chapter is a real life account of Tishani Joshi's life. This is not a story or a fiction. It's a real life narrative. This chapter is a treat for those who have great interest in geography. Children, do you know why this title is named as Journey to the End of the Earth? Well, it's all because here the end of the earth refers to the southernmost part of the earth, that is Antarctica continent, which is all covered with ice sheet, right? And one needs to cross 9 time zones, 6 checkpoints, 3 water bodies and many ecospheres to reach there. To know more about it, let's get started. Let us first read about the author. Tishani Joshi was born in 1975, is an Indian poet, journalist and dancer based in Chennai. She was born in Madras, India to a Welsh mother and Gujarati father. She received an Eric Gregory Award in 2001. Her first poetry collection, Countries of the Body, won the 2006 Forward Poetry Prize for Best First Collection. She has been invited to the poetry galas of the Guardian-sponsored Hay Festival of 2006 and the Cartagena Hay Festival of 2007. Her first novel, The Pleasure Seekers, was published by Bloomsbury in 2010 and was long-listed for the Orange Prize in 2011 and shortlisted for the Hindu Best Fiction Award in 2010. Let's now have a look at its central theme. The theme of the story in this narrative, Tishani talks about her journey to Antarctica, which is described as the coldest, driest and windiest continent in the world, and how the impact of human activities can be studied by visiting it. The lesson revolves around the world's most preserved place, Antarctica. Now many people have been there, but out of the few that have, Tishani Joshi is one of them. A South Indian person who went on an expedition with a group of teenagers affiliated with Students on Ice program, who takes young minds to different ends of the world. Thus, it gives an insight into how Antarctica is the place you should visit to have a glimpse of the past, present and the future in its realistic form. In the beginning, the author talks about his journey to one of the coldest, driest and windiest continent on the earth, that is Antarctica. He went there on a Russian research ship known as the academic Shogalsky. The author is a South Indian man who began his journey from Madras. On his voyage, he crossed 9 time zones, 6 checkpoints, 3 water bodies and just as many ecospheres. It took him about 100 hours of combined traveling by car, aeroplane and then a ship to reach the continent. So, when he first set his feet on the continent, he felt utmost relief, for it was all white as far as the eyes could see. The sight of the blue horizon was also very comforting. He was astonished by the fact that there was once a time when India and Antarctica were geographically connected. Millions of years ago, there was a supercontinent known as Gondwana, from which Antarctica and India are supposed to have been parted off. The situation, however, was completely different from how it is right now. There were no humans and the climate was warmer, which gave rise to huge varieties of flora and fauna. Gondwana flourished for 500 million years until dinosaurs got extinct and human beings came into existence. The huge continent was then forced into segregation to form countries and the world as we know of it today. According to the author, if one wants to have a glimpse of history and from where we have originated, along with where we are headed, Antarctica is the right place. It is the best place to research and understand about mountain ranges and low elevation continents, ozone and carbon, evolution and extinction. It is capable of giving an insight of the future that can be really startling. It was a very different experience for the narrator As being a South Indian sun worshipping man, it was hard for him or anyone else to imagine living in a place where 90% of the Earth's total ice volumes are stored. Not only biologically or physically difficult, but also for imagination. A place untouched by humans and their inventions. It gives an experience that makes you forget about all the other things. From small creatures like midges and mites to huge creatures like blue whales and icebergs, as big as countries, everything can be found in Antarctica. Days are never ending with sunlight all the time falling on the southern hemisphere. It is such a quiet place interrupted only by falling mass of snow rapidly down a mountain. It is a setting that forces you to ponder upon Earth's geological history and helps you foresee future which for humans doesn't seem very pleasant. Yes, human life on Earth has been existing for many long years, which converts into a few seconds on the geological clock. In very less time, humans have managed to exploit each and every resource, thereby creating a chaos in the nature. The ever-increasing human population is robbing other species of the necessities for survival, not to forget about the unlimited exploitation of fossil fuels that have created a blanket of carbon dioxide around our planet, which is further increasing the average global temperature, thus leading to global warming. Global warming and climate change are high priority concern these days. Questions like melting of Antarctic sheet, disruption of Gulf Stream ocean, and how the world will end still remains unanswered. Regardless, Antarctica remains an important part not only because it is untouched by humans, but also because of the ice cores, half-million-year-old carbon records trapped in its layers of ice. According to the author, if one wishes to study and analyze Earth's past, present and future, Antarctica is the place you must go. The author has been in Antarctica on an expedition with students on ice, a program that takes young minds to the ends of the world, which helps in inspiring them to work towards our planet. It was started with the vision of providing life-changing experiences to the future generation of policymakers to learn about the planet at a very early age. The initiative was introduced by Geoff Green, who got tired of his regular job once he got rich and wanted to give it back in some way. The program has been immensely successful in implementing its vision by the way people get affected by seeing the real scenario, because it is very easy to sit at home and talk about the real issues, but actually seeing glaciers retreating and ice shelves collapsing, it gives you a glimpse into the future. It tells you that the very threat of global warming is real. It is one of those places with limited biodiversity and thus has a less complicated ecosystem. As a result, little changes in its environment can have drastic effects. For instance, the microscopic phytoplankton are grasses of the sea that sustains the entire Southern Ocean's food chain. Now, it has been recently concluded by the scientists that a further depletion in the ozone layer can affect the activities of these single-celled plants and affect the marine life altogether. Thus, in this case, the saying comes true: take care of the small things and the big things will fall into place. Moving on to the last part of the chapter, for all it took for him to travel from Madras to Antarctica, the 9 time zones, checkpoints and various water bodies, the author pondered upon the capability of nature to maintain its balance. He wondered what it would be like if Antarctica, the place that houses over 90% of world's ice, becomes warm again. He wonders if we will be there to see it, if it ever happens, but who knows. Thus, by seeing the spirit of teenagers who still are left with the courage to save the world, he talks about the uncertainty of the events that can happen over a million years. Now let us have a look at the vocabulary used in the chapter. Expansive, meaning covering wide area in terms of space or scope. Profound means very great or intense. Isolation means separation. Landmass is a continent or other large body of land. Amalgamated means combine or unite to form one structure. Supercontinent, that's a former large continent from which other continents are held to have broken off and drifted away. Thrive means prosper or flourish. Mind-boggling means overwhelming or startling. Frigid means very cold in temperature. The meaning of desolate is uninhabited and giving an impression of bleak emptiness. Surreal means unusual. Austral means relating to the southern hemisphere. Ubiquitous means everywhere. Avalanche means no slide. Calving is split and shed. Consecrates means make or declared sacred. Immersion is submerge. Prognosis is a forecast of the likely outcome of a situation, and pristine means in its original condition, that is unspoiled. Now it's time to do some important questions. Question number 1. The world's geological history is trapped in Antarctica. How is the study of this region useful to us? Answer. The geological phenomena of separation of the landmass into various continents and water bodies almost 650 million years ago marks the beginning of the human race on the earth. Mammals started existing after dinosaurs became extinct, which happened once the landmass separated. Question number 2. What are Geoff Green's reasons for including high school students in the Students on Ice expedition? Answer. Geoff Green took high school students on an expedition to one end of the earth to make them realize the impact that human intervention could have on nature. He wanted the future policy makers to experience how difficult it would be to sustain life with the rising temperatures. He wanted them to see the melting ice shelves so that they could estimate the trouble that mankind was headed to. Moving on to next question, question number 3. Take care of the small things and the big things will take care of themselves. What is the relevance of the statement in the context of Antarctic environment? And children, I tell you, this question is really very important. Answer. The statement holds great importance in context of the Antarctic environment. For instance, the phytoplanktons in the region serve as food for marine birds and animals. The depletion of the ozone layer affects the phytoplanktons and the carbon cycle. This can obstruct the extensive of marine life. So, if the process carried on by these small grasses is taken care of, the processes of the bigger animals and birds can be taken care of. Question number 4. How can a visit to the Antarctica be an enlightening experience? Answer. By visiting the Antarctica, we can understand the Earth's past, present and future. A visit there can teach the next generation to understand and value our planet. Antarctica also holds within its ice cores 500,000 years old carbon records, which will help us to study climatic changes by global warming. Moving on to next question, question number 5. How is Antarctica a crucial element in the debate on climate change? Answer. Antarctica is a crucial element in the debate on climate change because it is the only place in the world which has never sustained a human population and thus remains relatively pristine. Moreover, it holds in its ice caves 500,000-year-old carbon records trapped in its layers of ice. The world's climate is changing fast and is at present one of the most hotly debated issues. Antarctica is the ideal place to study the effect of these environmental changes as it has a very simple ecosystem and lacks biodiversity. If global warming makes Antarctica warmer, it will have disastrous consequences elsewhere. Moving on to the last question of this lesson, justify the title. Answer. Tishani Joshi calls her trip to Antarctica a journey to the end of the earth because she crosses 9 time zones, 6 checkpoints, 3 water bodies and many ecospheres to reach there. The entire journey takes 100 hours. She is wonderstruck by the immensity and isolation of the region. Here I come to the end of today's lesson with such a beautiful quote of Gary Cinder. Nature is not a place to visit, it is home. So children, take care of nature so that nature can also take care of you. Hope you have gained much information about Antarctica from this video. Kindly like, share and subscribe to my channel English Factory and press the bell icon for notification, and also follow our Instagram ID. The link is in the description box. Waiting for your valuable comment. Thank you and stay blessed.